Hello, everyone. My name is Padmini Nidumolu, and I'm the co-founder of Lean and Agile for Women. And the four pillars of this organization that I co-founded are spirals for community building, LIA100, Lean and Agile is also called LIA, LIA100, where we bring 100 influential and inspiring stories of great women thought leaders to the community so we all can learn and share and develop. And LIA Next Gen, bringing on the next generation to the community and also having a growth mindset instilled in them. And the last pillar that we have is women inclusion pledges coming from conference organizers and organizations to ensure and enable women to be in the spaces that they deserve and desire. And this interview that we are doing today, this session, is part of LIA100 initiative, bringing the stories of great women thought leaders from across the globe. And in this session, I would like to introduce you to a pioneer from a country known as the land of thousand lakes. Well, it's a land of thousand forests as well. I just kind of researched a little bit about this country. She's been developing the agile scene in Finland and Scandinavia, and that's Finland for you, land of thousand lakes. She's been working locally on Scrum and modern agile translations, introducing a concept called sociocracy to Finnish organizations. And she's been arranging the first agile coach camps in Finland for a while, and she also organizes Finnish and Scandinavian agile purchasing and product owner events. She's a co-creator of a concept for peer-facilitated mutual encouragement communities called Boosty. And this is for community members to gather once a while. I believe they gather once in a quarter to share their success stories in the spirit of mutual encouragement and learning. And there are now several Boosty communities across Finland, thanks to this great personality. She does talks and she often facilitates in Agile conferences and events across Europe. And she's currently a part of Codento. It's a self-organizing software and methodology company based in Helsinki area. So without further ado, please join me in welcoming Karoliina Luoto. So Karoliina, hello. Welcome to LIA100.
Hello, it's so nice to be here. And that was very well covered.
I tried, when we do the research. Yeah, thanks. And it's an honor to have you. So my first question before we get started on anything agile, right? Are there 188,000 lakes in Finland?
I think that must be the correct number because it's a lot anyways.
The last you counted, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that must be beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, it is. Everyone can have pretty much their own cottage,
their own lake.
Their own lake.
Yeah. Oh
yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So someday we get to see the beautiful country.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
Yeah, awesome. So let's get started, Karoliina. And
yes.
my first thought when I looked at your profile, if you will, is, I see something called a warning on your profile, which was very interesting. It says happier customers, employees, and life might appear as the organizations work with you. And I thought that was very interesting. So an offshoot from that observation is, can you share what, as an agile change catalyst, in your experience, will lead to this scenario of happy customers, happy employees, and happy life at the end?
Yeah, well, it might sound funny, but for me, I think the secret could be that if we just spot the things that are kind of the bottlenecks or the biggest problems in an organization or in a team's work or wherever, and we kind of agree on that, we pick it together, we agree on that, and then start systematically working on like making that one better, so that everybody gets heard and everybody can be a part of that. In my experience, that kind of leads into greater happiness in every end of the game.
That's awesome. And that's
Yeah,
so true. That's so true. And we often kind of, ignore that, or, it's often kind of not given full attention. So
yeah,
thanks for sharing that. And, I've also observed that you have vast experience in the concept called sociocracy, which in my understanding is a framework for enabling effective collaborations at any scale within the organizations. Can you share your thoughts on how you applied these principles or guidance in your organization, and especially highlighting what it takes to build collaborative organizations with diversity at its core? Since
yeah.
we're talking about diversity here.
Yeah, so the framework I kind of best know is called Sociocracy 3.0.
Mhm.
It's a specific set of different patterns to try and use in a self-organizing environment. It's pretty closely related to the traditional sociocracy, as they call it, but
Mhm.
it's a specific set of things. So 3.0 was the number.
Right.
And yeah, for me, it feels like self-organizing or self-management is kind of becoming a bigger and bigger phenomenon, kind of like while we are doing agile, because I mean that's what being truly agile really needs. I mean, you have to be able to manage your own work and your team's work, and kind of being a kind of a like a part of really kind of good teamwork. It takes that. You need to be self-organizing in a way. And I think Sociocracy 3.0 is kind of an ingenious set of different patterns to facilitate that, to facilitate organizations kind of co-decision making, and kind of teaching everybody to be a part of that. For example, they have this rule of how you should be participating. A question of like, is my behavior at this moment the greatest contribution I can give to this collaboration we are doing? So it's kind of emphasizing everybody's responsibility in the outcomes of the work, and I kind of love that. So yeah, I strongly
That's
recommend
awesome.
looking into that.
Okay. Um, you're also an executive committee member of Agile Finland.
Yeah,
And I'm curious, as part of the women inclusion program that we have in Lean and Agile, we're very curious. What factors do you consider towards having thought leadership or even women inclusion intentionally, creating that intentional space for women speakers or organizers or contributors in any Agile events in Finland, of course, organized by Agile Finland as you're an executive committee member?
yeah. Well, it kind of takes positive discrimination, I think, if you want to call it that. I mean, in cases you have two different options for a speaker or like whatever, then maybe you should consider whether you could maybe see the situation turning into the advance of the female option, because I mean it's still, I think, challenging for the women to speak up and kind of take their
Yes.
space in the community. So I think it requires a little of help, like from everyone.
And is the community, Finnish community, supportive of that at this point?
Sure. I think we are pretty much, I mean, if not in numbers, then at least in attitudes, we are like 50-50 in terms of
Awesome.
gender. Yeah.
That is truly encouraging. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And I think, you lead most, so many events, and, the thought leadership in Finland. And I think, with women like you, it's absolutely possible.
Yeah.
So
I,
you're also a co-creator, as I was mentioning in my introduction, of this concept called peer facilitated mutual encouragement communities, and they're called Boosty.
yeah.
Can you elaborate on that? That's very fascinating.
Yeah. it has to do with that topic you just mentioned as well.
Yeah.
We just woke up to the fact with a colleague of mine that for some reason we feel like women always kind of focus on what could be done better and what we could develop and stuff. Whereas maybe men are more kind of used to kind of bringing up their successes and like at what they are great and stuff like that. And for women, it's harder. I mean, it's not no, of course, it's not a question of like biological like sex, but more maybe a gender thing. But anyway, we kind of recognize this phenomenon. So with what we are doing in the Boosty concept is just like 5 to 8 people getting together once in a quarter, and everybody's spending 10 minutes on their greatest success from the last 3 months. And that's just it. Then everybody can kind of discuss it and learn from each other. And our finding is that alone, like giving success this 2 hours per quarter, kind of does like amazing things to your brain. You start to see your successes because you have that kind of thought track on all the time because of these events. So we have seen great results.
Amazing. So, every gathering has approximately how many people participating at this point?
We think like 5 to 8 is the perfect amount. So we are talking about a general like team size. And since it seems like we are sometimes getting into the deep stuff, because like often the greatest challenges become your greatest successes in the end.
Yeah.
So that's why we recommend kind of keeping the group like solid, so that they are always the same people meeting, so that you can really get the good kind of dialogue going on. Like
it's a very good positive boost. So
yeah.
that's awesome.
Where the name comes from, as you probably figured out.
So does it mean positive encouragement boost? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's spelled BUUST though.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, that's Finnish for boost.
Okay. Awesome. There's another very interesting aspect of what you do and what you've done predominantly in your career, which is agile procurement. And also agile leadership as it pertains to agile procurement. And this is not given a lot of importance in general because it's always after the contract is signed, and it's all about development and how we can kind of get the customer or our end user get what they need. Can you talk about this often neglected space of what does it take to be successful in agile procurement?
Yeah, I think like traditionally within the agile scene, the problem is that we are really developer centric. I mean, if you think about Scrum, it has been created like for developers need for them to do their work in peace. But often, I mean, well, for example, in a startup phase, like before a company becomes a big one, there's this point where you have to actually buy your development resources. You don't have your own staff and you don't want to have that yet or something like that. And then, I mean, what is needed, of course, are the purchasing skills. Like, how do you do contracts that kind of incentivize great performance, like within the agile values that we all share? I mean, it doesn't have to be hard or it doesn't have to be traditional, but we need to figure out how to kind of do procurement in an agile way, basically.
Right.
So, yeah, and I think the important thing there is that you really kind of, as a product owner or as an agile leader, you really have a solid product vision that is shared to everyone. And also, like, you always have limitations, I mean, restrictions in budget or schedule or something. And that should be like really transparent to everyone so that everybody kind of knows how we are measured and like what are the kind of things that we are working on when we are developing the product. So that's basically it. And I think that the sad thing there is that not often is that like taught really. I mean,
It's not. Yes.
yeah, I mean,
Yes.
there is no education or no kind of coaching or anything that you can use for that. It's just somehow kind of assumed that people know how to do
No.
that.
Yeah.
It's easy anyway.
Yeah. So is it a possibility that you develop some kind of a, coaching or guiding
Yeah,
principles around this?
yeah. So we are doing a lot of coaching on that, and
Hmm.
yeah,
Awesome. We'll
and
look
at
forward.
least from the Finland perspective, it feels like there's a huge demand for that as well.
I'm sure there's demand all over. So it'll be
Yeah,
fantastic to see, some of your works shared with the community.
yeah,
Awesome. And talking about the community here, you've been a very active member of Finnish Agile community for a while. And the Agile community takes new shape from a thought leadership perspective, coming together as a community, and sharing and learning and trends and patterns. In your experience, what are some of the prominent trends you've observed in Finnish Agile community, and
yeah.
your perspective on why?
Yes, I briefly mentioned that as I mean already before. I think because in Finland it seems like the agile scene is kind of becoming the self-organizing scene. I mean,
Interesting.
everybody here are talking about teal organizations,
Yeah.
and that's a concept from Frederick Laloux, who has
Mm-hmm.
written the book Reinventing
You're
Organizations.
right.
So all of a sudden, everyone is interested in how organizations could actually like lead themselves, so that
Mm.
the agility is not restricted to the team level or even to like product development level, but you could actually like stretch that to the strategy level, like people deciding together where the a whole company should go and what are the rules that we kind of work on and stuff like that. So
Mm.
that's what I feel the Finnish community is talking about right now.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But also, maybe as a part of that, I think we have a big discussion going on, like psychological safety and kind of
Mm.
like like person level
Right.
like basis on how agile could work or can work in
Mhm.
organization, like what should be on place there on a personal level.
Mhm. And that's great trending. That's a
Yeah,
very, very positive trending.
yeah, it's
Great
a
to do. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And you're also a contributor and translator. So you've translated many English works to Finnish works, especially around the
Sure.
Scrum guides and
Yeah. Yeah.
modernagile.org. So from your vantage point, then, how are these guides, or how are these principles that are embedded into these guides contributing to evolving organizations, more importantly, learning organizations?
Yeah, so the principles of Scrum and Modern Agile. Yeah, I think like Modern Agile is kind of an interesting take
Yeah.
on maybe kind of putting the Scrum thinking forward in a way that for me, it feels like it combines traditional Agile thinking with the newer like lean startup kind of approaches, so that it emphasizes the psychological safety, as I already mentioned, but also that it's all about value, creating
Yes.
value. Because sometimes it almost feels like Scrum becomes this kind of a mechanism of like how we all
Framework. Yeah.
work. Yeah.
Mhm.
And,
Mhm.
and and often kind of the value point that it's like always about bringing value to the customer, that is kind of neglected somehow. I mean, sometimes, not always, but I think like Modern Agile kind of like points on that and tries to fix that, and I kind of love it about it.
Awesome. I know you're a contributor to these, guides and, to the organizations, to the community. And you probably have encountered and seen quite a bit about gender balance in general in organizations, not just at team level, but also at leadership level, participation levels. What does this gender balance in organization mean to you?
Yeah, well, at least from the Finnish perspective, it feels like we have these like A-grade girls all over. Excuse my French. You know, I mean, women are always contributing on getting shit done, like finishing up stuff that is maybe kind of
Yeah.
half done, like being responsible, stuff like that. Whereas maybe the male persons are the ones kind of doing the speaking and maybe collecting the results and kind of getting the bonuses and whatever, and that's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah.
So what I would like to see is that the women, like within technology or whatever, kind of could find their voice,
Yes.
really kind of start talking about the results that are kind of based on their work.
Great.
And at least in Finland, I already see that happening. I mean, it's not hopeless. We have more and more like female developers even, and it's really happening.
That's very, very encouraging to know, and I think
Yeah.
that should spread across the agile
Yeah.
community, and it is. I think it's trending in the right direction. Um, so I would like to ask you, what are some of the superpowers, if you will, that you bring with yourself to work or to the community?
Oh yes. I'm not sure if it's a superpower or not. But you can tell
I
me.
can let you know.
You know the book Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy
I'm
by
not
Douglas Adams.
Hmm.
I'll
I can pick
explain
that
to
up.
you. There's this concept of a barbell fish,
Hmm.
which is a fish that you can put into your ear, and then you start understanding all the languages in the world. And you can kind of interpret between people. And I
Sure.
think traditionally that has been my super skill, like making people to understand each other kind of across professional barriers or like framework differences or stuff like that. And I think that's kind of what is often needed as well.
Yes, absolutely. And that is a super power, in case you're
Okay.
suspecting that. That
Whew.
is a superpower.
I was the book. Thanks.
Yeah. And you've had a fantastic, very interesting journey here in the Agile and Lean spaces. And I always ask this, do you have any recommendations, or are there any, great books or podcasts or videos or any learning resources that you would like to recommend to our viewers?
Yes. I definitely would like to recommend, and the one that I would like to recommend is the concept of agile coach camps.
Huh.
At least for me, it has been the most kind of important gateway to the whole community and to the profession of agile coaching. It's an open space concept where people just kind of gather to a camp like over a weekend or something like that. And then everybody can just bring their tricks and tips to the table, their newest frameworks, facilitation methods, whatever, and just like start teaching each other. And I think it's a really powerful concept because you always bump into something you just didn't know of or that is kind of totally new for you.
Absolutely. We have one coming up this year in Washington, D.C., which I'm not going to miss.
Yes.
Thanks for recommending that. And, I would like to wrap up the interviews usually with a quote or a message request from you.
Okay.
And that often tends to be a fantastic one summarizing who you are. And
no pressure though.
No pressure though. So is there something, a message or just something that you live by that you would like to share with us?
Yes, okay, I'll have to think about that for a bit. Yeah, I think this kind of goes for all communities, not just the agile
Sure. Yeah.
one, that maybe we should listen more and speak less.
No,
And maybe like the biggest problems of teamwork and like organizational structures and stuff would kind of solve themselves if we just did that. So that would be my message.
Awesome. So improving listening skills, active listening.
Yeah, and like focusing less on like getting your thoughts out there.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's a fantastic message. And Karoliina, thank you so much. It was a real pleasure chatting with
Thank you.
you.
Likewise.
Yeah, and thank you for your willingness to share all this information and your thoughts and perspectives here. I wish you a lot of good luck with your upcoming baby, as well as for you to come back to the community. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.